Good evening. My name is Henry Kears. I am a web application. I'm in the class of web application development at Clayton State University. And I would like to present my project for this semester. I will begin with web application development. My first slide will include functional dependency normalization and employee PDO exercise. But before we talk about functional dependencies and the exercise, I would like to go over some basic definitions. First definition: database, self-describing collection of related records that was designed to keep track of data information more efficiently and with more complexity than a simple list of data. Database contains definitions of its structure called metadata, which is the data describing the structure of the database. Next slide. We talk about relational databases are designed to address complex issues resulting from processing information stored in tables, and each informational topic is its own table. These tables are referred to as entities. Entities represent one theme or topic. Within the entities are relations, and relations is a two-dimensional table that consists of rows and columns. The rows contain the data about the entry, and the columns contain data about the attributes of the entry. Restrictions: all entries are of the same kind. Each column has a unique name, and no two rows may be identical. Keys, candidate keys, and primary keys are very important functions in relational databases. The candidate key is a key that is an attribute in the row to determine as a primary key. And of course, the primary key is the key that is actually selected from the candidate keys. That key will act as an identifier of all the attributes of that row. Functional dependency and normalization. Functional dependency is a relationship between attributes or a group of attributes which one attribute determines the value of another attribute in the same table. In my example, I use student ID as my determinant that determines the value of the student last name and first name. The student ID is used to identify the attributes in that row. Hence the definition of determinant, which is the value that appears on the left side of the equation. In another example, I use employee ID, determining the values of employee name and employee position. Normalization. Normalization is the process of analyzing a relationship to ensure that it is well formed. Rows can be inserted, deleted, modified without creating update anomalies. Normalization principles: every determinant must be a candidate in relationship or any relation that is not well formed should be broken down into two or more well formed relations. In my example, again, I use student ID, which determines student last name, student first name, course, and course ID. Now, to normalize that row of information, I break it up into two different rows with student ID determining the student last name and first name, and course ID determining the course. Normal forms. First normal form. First normal form includes variables, repeating fields. Exclude variables, repeating fields, contain only atomic values, no repeating groups. Examples. In my example, violates the first normal form with repeating fields and more than one value in the field. In my example, you have two phone number 1 and phone number 2, which violates the rule of first normal form. The second example, the phone number field is reduced to one field, which satisfy the definition of first normal form. Second normal form, all non-key attributes are fully functionally dependent on the primary key. Again, example. In this example, we have employee ID and several attributes, but we also have hours worked and monthly pay. So in this example, we're showing monthly pay is being determined by both, determined by both the employee ID and the hours worked. To make corrections, I remove those fields from the original normalized field and separated the position, determining the employee status, and the hours or the monthly pay being determined by the hours worked. Third normal form, no transient functional dependency. In this example, we have student ID, name, last name, course, grade, instructor, email. Well, by definition, A, or the definition formula states that A is functionally dependent to B, is functionally dependent to C, A is functionally dependent to C, is in violation of this third normal form. In this example, I show the student ID as the primary for this row, with email being functionally dependent to student ID and also to instructor. Again, to make the correction, I remove the instruction email and make it functionally dependent to instructor, and grade functionally dependent to course. The next element is PHP or hypertext preprocessor. And here I have basic PHP definitions, a scripting language that gets interpreted. It is a web server or executed on the web server. The input in PHP, input-output commands in PHP are print or echo statements. PHP, more basic definitions on this slide show PHP arrays are associative arrays, which allow element values to be stored in relation to the key rather than index order. Data from web forms can be accessed using super global arrays such as get $_get and $_post. $_get allows access data in a query stream. The key values will appear in the URL, whereas in the $post, access posted data, and that data will not appear in the URL. Here I have a slide presenting the PDO and the connection to PDO. The basic connection established through the DSN, which includes the host, database name, and chart set, constructor, user, and password, and the option section. This is a demonstration or an example of that connection through the use of PDO. These are more script for the option tag for the PDO. Here I have more slides showing prepare statement, which is very important when accessing data from a database. A prepare statement is used by including placeholders in the SQL. The name placeholder is the first argument in the name placeholder name, and placeholders always start with a colon. Here is another example showing the use of the placeholder statement. Forms handling, again, PHP super global get and post statements are used for collecting data from forms. Normalization project, Group 6. The normalization project by Group 6 will be presented in its entirety. The project was completed by its due date, and the third normal form along with first and second normal forms are presented in their presentation. The employee